We could do that
I'm down.
post-production, too.
Ooh, the goal is as little post-production as possible.
Baby, yeah.
Welcome to the Thorn Podcast. Live in the barrio.
Welcome to the Thorn 3-pack.
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first, the third, but the first, now Thorn 3-pack. Every day the pack will change. It'll be a 2-pack, it might be a 4-pack.
Right.
Today with a Thorn 3-pack.
Originally, it was going to be a 6-pack, but then the squares made everyone so small that it looked like a bad Brady Bunch commercial.
Right.
Brady Bunch had 9.
That's what I'm saying, a bad one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
3
sense.
of them died in a car accident when they got the little wooden thing from Hawaii. Bad luck.
Yikes.
So we are the 3-pack.
Yeah.
I'm Robbie. That's Tom and Dennis. Woo!
So here's going to be the format every time. Everyone will be in their own little square, and then we're going to have topics running down the side. And then we're going to run through the topics, and it's going to be every day.
Okay.
Don't cross, no crossing streams.
Dude, I was in
Pretend
the
you're-
square for a little bit.
Pretend you're separated. All right.
We are. We're so far from each other. Safety.
As great as it's been to get this podcast up and running, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It just so happens that the day we're finally kicking it off, the world's kind of on fire a little bit.
Yeah. Very true.
Everything must go.
Everything is going.
Huge discounts on clothing, TVs, you name it. Fire
Mannequins. I saw there was a guy looting and he was carrying a mannequin. It's like, that's what you're going for? Who knows?
Maybe he's
Who
into
knows
that. Maybe he's into
Who
some
knows
good
the
shit.
kinky shit going on in his house?
That's
What?
right.
So we actually at Thorn I think we're just posting a thing right now, kind of like our take on the whole subject. It's kind of tough when you're talking about an entire company, right? Never mind individuals. The real struggle here is with the people of color that are worried about getting murdered by the police, right? Let's prioritize. That's the worst.
Right.
Selfishly, what's difficult is trying to communicate a thought or a stance for a company that is in effect like 40 or 50 people. Everyone has slightly different opinions, or thoughts, or feelings, and it can't always just be distilled down to one person. But I think every now and again there are like truths that are so evident, or things that are so clear, that there are things that you can say that I think everyone agrees. Yeah, whether it's left wing or right wing, that cop flat out murdered the guy.
Oh, for 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to be the one that everyone agrees on, and that it was at least in part racially motivated.
Yeah. I think everybody also agrees that, none of us can say what it's like to be a person of color, first and foremost. But I think we all know it exists, and I think that's kind of what people are looking for, is everyone to kind of stand up and address it, in whatever way they can. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we've talked about, just there's good cops and there's bad cops, right? And there's a certain, even like military, you got to figure there's some people join the military because they want to serve their country. Some people join because their father was in the military and their grandfather was in the military, and there's a long tradition. Some people join the military because they want to kill people, because first-person shooter games just don't get their dick hard. And the same thing goes for cops. I mean, there's great cops. I have friends that are cops. I think some people are trying to do good, but some people do it because it's the only job that they could stick their knee in somebody's neck. And that's the difficult thing, is how to weed those people out. And then to kind of go deeper down the rabbit hole, there are racist people, and being in a position where you could kind of have a license to kill and you're racist. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster, and this is an example of that. And there's been many examples in our lifetimes. And yeah, I mean, it's tough, in the grand scheme of things. Has the brutality of racism gotten lighter? Possibly, but has the real problem at hand, the systemic, existence of it, has it gotten better? Not quick enough, and I think that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, I think, obviously the the George Floyd murder, it was obvious to a lot of people, but that shouldn't be what makes people change their mind finally. Like, this should have been changing decades ago, and it's just shitty that the systematic bias is still happening. And yeah, now everybody can film it, or you got your camera just handy, and it's getting caught and it's being shown to the public, and people, and sometimes it does take, like they say, darkest before the light. Sometimes it does take something that's so tragic for things to change, but I really hope it changes, because this tragedy has happened multiple times and has continued to happen, and to see nothing or not much of change still while we're in 2020 is ridiculous, in my opinion.
It is crazy because it doesn't change fast enough, and I think that's the biggest question is, like, how do you change it? How do you change it now? I think that's what everybody kind of wants, right? I don't have the answers. It's a tough one, but I think that's what everybody wants. Most everybody.
Yeah. I saw an interesting infographic. It was based on, they surveyed Democrats and Republicans, like an equal number of the same, and they listed like 8 minority groups, and it was not all minority, but demographics, and it was like Muslims, black people, white people, Christians, and the whole list. And they broke it down by party. What percentage of those people surveyed thought that group was prejudiced against? And one of the 2 political parties, of all the groups, transgender people were up there. Of all the groups listed, one political party said that black people faced the least amount of prejudice in America out of all 8 groups listed. It's very interesting to see the swing. I think so. It was Republicans. So you see, like, people that identify as Democrat, they were like 70 to 75%. They said 70-75% of them said that Muslims, transgender people, there's about 6 of them, all face discrimination. And then when it came to white and Christian, everything flipped, because the Republicans is usually between, like, I don't know, right around 40% of them think that all those other groups face discrimination. And then when it was white Christians, it completely flipped. And Democrats think about 25% say whites, 25% Christians, and then like 75% of Republicans say that whites and Christians.
I think you bring up another good point, though. How sick are, at least I can speak, I'm so sick of the sound bites of the news. It's like they're not even fishing from the same, reality.
Yeah.
It's I don't even now, I try not to even get my news from American news. It's like I have to pipe into Australian and UK, and when they're covering the US, to get some sort of like
outside
independent
perspective,
and it's the best news. It sucks. And now I almost play this game at home sometimes where I'll go to Fox and go to CNN just to see them talk about the same thing and go, It's insane. It's like, you guys are fucking nuts. But all the stats, all the fear, this COVID-19 thing, it's insane. This whole thing with George Floyd, timing's everything. And what's crazy is there was a recession in the early 90s that actually ended up with the Rodney King beatings. And I think we just kind of got a force-fed recession because of this COVID-19 thing. So you've made people stay at home and told them they're not essential. You've given them a fucking pittance of $1,200 to cover God knows how long. And you've put them in a situation where they can't interact with people. We're social people. There's more suicides. There's more domestic violence. There's more child abuse. Like, everybody is on fucking just on edge and hating the new reality that is this COVID-19, social distancing, quarantine, stay at home. And it's just like the timing is, it's just spot on. It's crazy. It's a sad reality, but, I think you push people to the brink, and this thing was just that straw that broke the camel's back. And it also is something that needs to be addressed. And I think it is what it is. This is the time to do it, right?
Yeah, I was reading this quote, and I can't remember it word for word, but a young lady, she does like slam poetry, and I don't want to butcher her name, but I'll have to look it up later. We could post it later. But she had just talked about how the different lanes do need to exist. So, yeah, you can have peaceful protesting, but you also need to have some riots that are going to happen, because those will help change. You also need to have people talking about this stuff online. So all these lanes do need to exist. It can't just be one lane, one way to go. You have to have different perspective, people bringing a different opinion together, and hopefully exposing it
kind
in
of
some
speaking
way.
out in their own way.
In their own way, exactly, yeah. But yeah, we'll have to post-production. I know you don't like post-production, but we'll find out this girl's name because it was a really beautiful, eloquent way that she put it.
We'll look it up, and then tomorrow come back with the answer to fix
There
all
you
of
go.
American race relations.
That's right.
That's your homework. Somewhat coincident. I mean, complete coincidentally, one of the few breweries in town that was owned by a person of color. My buddy John owned ThunderHawk. They were in are you guys familiar with the Miralani Makers District? It's actually really cool. They got like 15 little businesses, like food and beverage related. There's like, I think there's a vintner guy that makes booze, sake, couple breweries, and then right across the street there's another one.
So it's another one of those incubator startup spaces.
No,
it's not.
But it's like, imagine the similar thing. It's more like Neighbors. It's just a neighborhood of all these little eateries and stuff, but it wasn't intentional. I don't believe that it was intended for that. But they've created their own little makers district, and they have like little stuff. It's really cool. But they were part of that. Really, they did like 1-barrel batches at a time.
What's the
which
area?
is like 30.
Well, I mean, what's crazy about that?
Miralani, it's like Miramar
okay.
in the
Yeah.
15.
I can't say that I've ever had ThunderHawk. I actually didn't
Yeah.
even know they were around. And how long were they around?
A couple of years. I'm gonna say 3 or 4. I'm guessing.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is back to the whole pandemic thing. It's like if we were Thorn 1 and not Thorn 2 during this thing, and we still have to we're not out of the storm yet, but like all these small breweries, they serve only draft. So you're forced to close, and during the whole closure, you can't sell to bars and restaurants. That's a tough racket.
They cited strife between owners, but as people that look at the numbers on running a brewery, I imagine that aside, I don't know how you make it, especially making batches that small. It's just too competitive, and the time is too tough. You have to rely on the tasting room.
You have to have a busy tasting room. A closed tasting room isn't a busy tasting room. And the fact that you cannot sell to bars and restaurants right now, and if and when you can, the demand's going to cut major. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. So they're one of, how many have closed? 5 now? Or is this 6?
About 5, but it's like some, like, was it COVID related? Like,
right.
Melvin, I don't think was COVID. And then there was Papa Marcy's up in, I think they were Carlsbad, but Iron Fist, and I think that might have been a timing thing as well. And I want to say Indian Joe's maybe closed, and the Culture tasting room in OB, but they said that it wasn't COVID related. We saw an article today, Brewers Association, something like 80% of breweries have received PPP money. So something like 50% of breweries said if quarantine lasted through June, they were probably going to go out of business. I think now you can push that to, okay, now August, they got 2 extra months, but you need
2 months to figure it out.
We need some sort of opportunity to sell. There needs to be some level of normalcy or a new normalcy where there's opportunity to sell beer, or it's still going to be the same problem. Just push down the line a little bit.
I think your phone might die. Battery said it was on 10%.
That's all right. I'll just move into your box.
There we go.
Get in that box.
Well, so with the Dennis, we had talked last week too. You mentioned about businesses are with this change, and I'm not sure how it's going to affect now because things have changed on like the daily. But for businesses to reopen, they can only operate at 50%.
So some at 50%, some are less, because if you have this 6-foot distance requirement for seating, I mean, think about these small, quaint bars and restaurants that literally are like 6 to 8 tables, and 80% of them are within 6 feet of each other.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting, though. I mean, Tom was chatting about it. I went down to Little Italy yesterday, and it seemed like anything that had a patio, there was no rules. They definitely weren't 6 feet apart. But then in interior, they definitely look like they spaced stuff out a little bit. And then at the bars, you were only supposed to wait at the bar if you were waiting for food to go. And I think that worked pretty good. I mean, me personally, I think being outdoors, I think it is going to be better for what it's worth.
I really like what they did. Pretty much what the ABC did is like, hey, it's no longer a capacity thing. It's you're allowed to use adjacent space that you can open up and have patrons at. And you just have to maintain 6 feet of distance between groups. Our capacity is actually more now that we open the side yard. We can fit more people, even with COVID 6 feet distancing with all the groups.
Right.
We fit more people in there now than we used to, not including the upstairs mezzanine. I mean, we lost, 10 bar seats? And then we had to close maybe 2 tables, so that's like 8. That's about 20 seats that we lost. But then outside, we just gained 6 tables. You can have 8 people per table if you want. I mean, we just got like 50 people. We had some other tables inside, so maybe it ends up being like an extra 10 or 15. But I mean, that ends up actually working, and we get to have people outside, which is way better than being inside.
The extension of premises that the ABC did, which is got to applaud them for jumping on it early and coming up with something creative to allow the potential for getting back up to pre-pandemic revenues. That's a rad one, because it is. If you have more space, if you could double your space because you've got a lot or a side yard, but you had to cut your seating in half on the inside, then you're kind of back the whole. But then there's the other thing, though, is I do still feel that a lot of people, I think, depending on what news outlet they watch, are still fucking scared shitless. And it's going to be like post 9/11 travel. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just absolutely scared of their shadow and are going to, they're going to wear their mask in their car by themselves driving to, it's just insane. I think
the car is the mask, people. You're safe.
Yeah, the car is the mask. It's true, though. How many times you see that? I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So, or Tom wears his little cloth doily thing. I mean, there's nothing scientific about that saving you.
And you keep. I still don't really understand what doily means.
Show us your doily mask. The only thing that you'd be lucky
Gorgeous.
to keep. You'd be lucky to keep the smell one of your farts out with that, buddy.
Yeah, right. Not a chance. My farts, get out of here.
There's
Pride myself on those farts.
There is no rhyme or reason, though, because they make you wear that mask to stand in line, and or before you enter the restaurant or place of business, and then you could just take it off immediately when you're in there. And of course, you're gonna brush elbows with somebody. Or you're gonna, so it's a very strange thing. And I do know these businesses have to operate that way because these are the guidelines that are like set forth. But it's just. And
I comply with the guidelines. When I go shopping, I put my mask on, all that stuff. But when I'm in my car, when I'm on my home with my friends, with them at the office, it's like, I don't know. I just not feeling it, man. I'm a huggy kind of guy. I think being healthy is being out there and being social and getting fresh air and eating dirt.
Yeah,
get that dirt,
sure.
baby.
I mean, in the protests that were happening last night in downtown San Diego, and I mean, most of the people I saw were wearing masks and many were wearing gloves, but there was definitely 0 feet of distance going on between because you're marching together, and you're trying to unify, and to do that 6 feet apart wouldn't make really much sense. So, but yeah, it's just the rhyme and reason is kind of non-existent.
I passed my corona test the other day.
Did you? Nice.
Negative,
Congratulations.
baby.
Yeah, but you still got herpes.
Yeah, that's true.
Tom, you've never wore a
I
condom
didn't
your whole life, and now you're wearing a mask?
I didn't take the herpes test.
Was that a tough leave?
This is about coronavirus.
Yeah.
This isn't about the other ones.
Right.
Yeah. But also, on Saturday, they did the SpaceX thing. They rescheduled. Did you guys watch it at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, good for them. Got out of Earth real quick, huh?
Good for us.
Good for us, too. Yeah.
I detract on those.
On what?
I just think.
What's a waste of money?
Look at astronauts that do space missions come back 3 months, 6 months later, and it's like they're pretty much their bones have turned to mush. They can't stand up. The gravity's too. It's like I don't know.
They have those running things where they're like strapped in, and they're
I just think it's crazy. We spend so much money trying to get to the moon and all these places when we just should probably take care of our own nest a little bit more.
Isn't all this private now, though?
What's that?
Like SpaceX?
SpaceX is, yeah. But he was transporting.
They worked with NASA.
Yeah, they're transporting NASA people. So
that's right.
But yeah, I don't know. I think these billionaires are pretty funny with their goals to go to Mars or have these floating stations. It's like, fuck, man, just. I don't know. Maybe try not to fucking kill the Earth.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's that whole just trying to become legendary in some way, and so they can.
Dude, how about that platform landing back on that little like helipad?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
It's like 2 separate pieces, and like one part comes back to Earth.
Oh wow!
And like lands on the. So when they did their first test, I'm 90% sure I know what I'm talking about here. I could be completely wrong, but that was the first test they did. Was they pretty much just shot up. Like, it's kind of like the part that aids the launch, and then I think typically it separates and then just falls in the water is the deal. But no, they made one that like comes down
right
to Earth and lands.
Wow!
So it just comes down and goes boop.
That's cool.
That's really cool.
I mean, who knows? And if if for some reason
It's
we
like
end
a
up
Roomba
destroying-
docking station.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. That's right. If for some reason we continue on the path of messing up Earth, then we might have to take off. So that could be a reason.
I got really into Robinhood recently, the app where you can buy stocks.
Oh yeah, I'm on there.
And I almost bought Tesla on Wednesday before all the takeoff stuff.
Damn it, you should have.
I don't know how it
gone
did.
up?
I don't know what it did. I mean, everything went up,
It's
right?
pretty high. I got Winnebago.
I was only gonna be able to buy one.
I got Winnebago at 38 and sold it at just a few days ago at like 59.
Nice.
And then I got MGM at 13, and then I'm gonna hold on to that one
Yeah.
because the house always wins.
Ah,
They were
okay.
pre-pandemic. They were at like $50 or $60.
My pen
got
is
Twitter.
through the roof. Oh, really? You're a
Yeah.
Twitter guy.
Got some Twitter on there. Some Ford. My grandpa told me to grab some Ford, so I
Yeah.
did.
I got a bunch of cheap. I got a bunch of like $3 ones.
The free ones.
Like
that you
one's
get?
like a coronavirus medication. I just like I'll buy 10 of them, and if it like goes to the roof, great. And if not, it's just like playing a game, you know. If I lose, what's a couple bucks, you know?
Yeah.
It's all about the love of the game.
What's this leg amputation about?
I was doing work on my house, so the reason I got corona tested
Okay.
is because I had to go to urgent care,
Yeah.
but not so urgent care. I have like 3 followers on Twitter. I just use it for news.
Oh, you're on Twitter too. Nice.
Yeah.
We should be friends.
I'm just bumping up your stock.
Yes, exactly.
And then I tagged Shop Healthcare, and I was like, I insulted them calling it urgent care because it was very not urgent. I went to the location. They said I had the wrong kind of shop coverage, so they give me a pamphlet with the ones I can go to. I go to one of those. They only take PPOs, not HMOs. I'm sitting there. I shoved a knife through my leg. I was scraping the old caulk off my shower, and then it slipped, and I just
She
went,
said.
Goosh, and I just right into my leg. I'm like, oh fuck. So I'm like, don't know how deep it is. I've never cut myself like that bad. I've like cut a knife in my hand, but like I don't know what like
There it is.
you're gonna lose
Ooh.
your leg cut. 7 stitches.
Wow.
Not to brag.
Get that on camera?
I like to say a stronger man would have cut his leg off.
Yeah.
I only got 7 stitches.
Some war wounds from shower-calk.
Yeah, and they offered me a shower cock. Good for you. They offered me coffee in urgent care, by the way.
Wow.
I know.
Coffee?
Yeah, they gave me coffee. But I saw on Twitter, I made some like a little snarky comment about the urgent care not being urgent. They messaged me back. They've called me because of Twitter. Shop Healthcare is all over trying to fix this problem.
Okay. Nice.
I gotta give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shop Healthcare,
Right on,
All
Sean.
right.
who might be leaving as we're changing our medical benefits.
Shower cock.
Showercock.
Shout out to shower-calk.
Showercock. R.I.P. Well, gentlemen, do you have anything to say before we part ways? Before we end the first Thorn 3-pack?
Speaking of 3-pack, we do got 3 new beers that came out. The cherry sour, right?
Well, about to. The cherry sour did just
Did come out, and then we got 2 more on the way.
The Black Hard Seltzer
Black
and the Michelada are coming out in 2 weeks.
Boom.
And then about, I think, a week or 2 after that, we're going to have the Passion Fruit Hazy IPA. It's
The second
Pink
installment of the
Passion.
Shades.
one more time?
Is that the second installment of our Shades?
No, this is
Oh.
completely separate.
Oh, okay.
So this is it's a hazy IPA. Instead of being dry hopped, we ferment in passion fruit.
Wow.
And then there's a little ingredient we can make to make it pink. Natural ingredient. Nothing funky.
course,
So it'll be pink. So it's going to be like a cup of pink drink.
Pink drink.
All right. Well, is that it?
That's all I got.
That's it for me.
All you protestants, stay safe out there.
Stay safe. For real.
And stick it to the man.
Right on.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.